A Bronx mother says she's been waiting years for repairs at her apartment in the Throgs Neck houses. She says mold and water damage is affecting every part of her life and her family, so now she turns to News 12 for help. Eva de la Cruz says she's currently receiving treatment for breast cancer. She says that her 2 kids are also suffering from health problems, including asthma, and that's forced her to keep them away from their home for their own safety. Just weeks ago, NYCHA came to her apartment to assess the damage, but there's still been no fix. And Eva says she can't wait any longer.
They came like they always do, take pictures and say, we'll return. Somebody else is coming. Somebody else is coming.
We reached out to NYCHA and they've told us, quote, NYCHA is reaching out to the resident and will be visiting the apartment as soon as possible to assess conditions. We will address any abatement and necessary repairs to ensure the resident is satisfied. So we'll keep you posted. Well, Lincoln Hospital is launching a new partnership aimed at increasing the number of Bronx families receiving support from community-based organizations. We're told the new pilot initiative will train staff on how to best identify and connect more families in need with support. This will also, they hope, reduce unnecessary reports made to the state's child abuse hotline simply because a family needs help.
Yet another problem at Emory Gardens, that apartment complex on South Hydraulic in Wichita. One renter shows a closet full of mold and he doesn't know what to do. Cake's Jocelyn Schifferdecker joins us in studio, continuing our coverage on this issue. Jocelyn.
Chris, well, Joseph McDonald says he first noticed the mold 2 weeks ago. He claims the apartment management has done nothing and it's only getting worse.
I know this is getting out of control, so I don't know what else to do.
On March 10th, Joseph McDonald opened his closet and found this. Tons of mold growing along the walls.
They said that there's a list of maintenance requests for the whole complex that they will get to my apartment eventually.
But they still haven't. And McDonald says the mold is spreading fast.
The video that I made on the 11th didn't even have any of the mold on this side of the wall.
McDonald says he lives with 2 teens and his parents. He's worried for everyone's health.
It's not safe. Like, at any given time, this can get extremely out of control and people could die.
He says he's frustrated with the entire situation. Telling Cake News he told the apartment management the day after seeing the mold, but claims nothing has been done.
I'm paying to live in something that's safe and secure, and this isn't safe or secure.
And it's not just mold either.
My apartment was completely flooded. Like, the Wi-Fi box was 2 seconds away from being zapped. My brother's bed was completely soaked.
He says his lease is up in August and he's counting the weeks until he can move his family out.
And Cake News is talking to a state lawmaker about what it would take to create a bill giving tenants more protection to help them avoid situations like this. We'll have more on that later this week. For now, in studio, Jocelyn Schifferdecker, Cake News on your side.
Now that summer's here, everyone will have their air conditioners blasting cold air throughout their home. But that AC can also cause some problems. With warm, moist air outside, there's the possibility mold can form.
WHO 13's Roger Riley has been doing research on this story with a little practical experience as well. Right, Roger?
Yeah, Aaron, you know, right now I'm here at Iowa Mold Removal in Altoona, and this is something I'm interested in as I spent the past weekend working on a basement which is prone to mold. Now, I took the primer paint called Kills to put over the mold on the walls of a basement, and while doing this, it made the basement look better, but it doesn't really solve the problem.
Mold, you have to think of it as being the side effect of the actual problem itself. So typically you want to find what's causing that excess moisture, why that mold is growing. Then you want to fix that problem first before you take care of the mold. Yeah, so mold, it can cause a lot of respiratory illnesses, especially nowadays with everyone being a little bit more susceptible to allergies and things like that. It can really make that flare up and cause issues for the homeowners.
Now, at Iowa Mold Removal, this is a busy time of year. They often go in and do some demo of a mold area, and then they use plastic around the area to contain the spores. They look to find where there's an excess of water issue, solve that, and then remove the mold. There are all kinds of places mold can turn up. For some, it's in the basement.
Cracks in the foundation, poor drainage, also just not having airflow on the basement. It's an old wives' tale that you're supposed to close the vents to the basement if you're not using that space, but all you're doing is restricting the airflow in that space, and you want that air to move. So, you don't want to create a stagnant, damp environment because then mold can just start to grow. Also, if you have boxes in your basement, try to get it into Tupperware containers because that mold will grow on the cardboard, and that will cause a problem. So.
Now, some common places to look for mold in your house: window sills, underneath sinks, refrigerator door seals, drain pans, closets, the laundry room, air conditioning systems, and of course basement walls. Now, in the house I was working on, Brian said that I could maybe solve that problem with a bigger dehumidifier and also maybe get some ventilation going through there. Another thing he says, if you really are concerned about it, there's a company that will come out and test your air and tell you if you have a problem and what the problem is, and then he likes it when they come in after they're done to test. So it's a lot to know about this, and it's something that every one of us will have to see at some point.
One time or another, okay, we will all benefit from your research. Thanks a lot, Roger.
Now, consider it another case closed for our Call 11 for Action team. This case involves a Toledo man who came to us for help getting a mold issue fixed in his apartment. Melissa Andrews is here tonight with what's going on. So, Mel, it sounds like he was at his wit's end with this.
Very much so. He says he complained about this issue for years, but as we've seen with other landlord problems here in Toledo, he felt he wasn't getting help.
William Burnham was distraught when we first met him last week.
I reached out to 211, Fair Housing. The free lawyer can't help me. I don't qualify.
He told us he'd been complaining to landlord after landlord about mold growing on his walls and under his floor.
He told me to paint over it, and I was ignored. Time went by, he sold the building. The second landlord sold it, the third sold it, and the fourth is now selling it, all within 2 weeks of me showing them.
He didn't feel safe and suspected living there was unhealthy, affecting him and his dog.
He's got bubbles right here, and he has them growing all over.
His neighbors even told him to move out.
They were like, get out of here. We're going to get the place condemned on Monday. Go to a hotel.
Who said they're going to get it condemned?
My neighbors said that this place is condemnable. They're like, get out. This is unhealthy.
But when Call 11 for Action reached out to the company that manages William's apartment, LPG Management, they responded immediately and told us it's only managed the property for a few months and was unaware of the issue. The company went to Williams that very day and sent us these notes from the maintenance worker. I could wipe the wall off with my hands, not scrub and remove it from the wall. The mildew dust rested on the surface and didn't even stain the wall. Mold would be growing and consuming through the wall, but even so, I still used mold killer spray and cleaned up the wall really good. The wall just needs some repair, maybe skim coat and then paint. Then I tapped on the buckling floor with a hammer and it all went back level. There was not a high moisture level present.
I'm happy they came out as quick as they did.
We went back out to see the work for ourselves.
They sanded back, they took a putty knife and they scraped it back to where you can't see the bubbles and stuff. They put the kills down and then they nailed this back down flat.
But now at least you can spend time in here and feel safe in here.
I do. It's much better in here, and it came out very quickly. They've been great.
Good. I'm glad we got that taken care of for you.
You too, thank you.
Sometimes these issues are more complex and landlords or management companies are uncooperative, shifting blame. But not in this case. All it took was an email from Call 11 for Action to get this resolved and for William to feel safe. So kudos to LPG. If you need help, no problem is too big or too small. Email us at 11investigates@WTOL.com. For Call 11 for Action, I'm Melissa Andrews.